Okay, now we're officially recording. All right, guys. Well, I'm going to start with a welcome again. So welcome. It's Finish Strong Friday. We're on our Friday Success Call, and we are going to rock the hustle today. So we're just talking about my new hustle t-shirt. Just came in the mail yesterday. Got it from a company called Hustle Island, which has a lot of really cool products that are designed to motivate. And it was really inspired by, actually, does anybody know who uses the term hustle in their brand? Anybody know off the top of their head? Type it in the chat if you know. I'll give you a hint. His first name is Gary. Gary V, anybody? Gary Vaynerchuk? No? All right, if you don't know Gary V, let's see if I think this is the right spelling. You gotta look him up. This guy's the definition of hustle. Anyway, it's not his company, but it was inspired by somebody who was part of one of his mastermind groups or something, and they put out these really cool products around the hustle. And again, you know, my shirt here is made up of all these words that are sort of the definitions or the qualities of somebody who is a hustler in the terms of an entrepreneur, right? So let's start with what is the connotation that the term hustle is, you know, in your mind, because sometimes, especially like, this is kind of a fresh new spin on the way hustle's been used over the last 5 years. It used to be that hustle meant like when you're in a hustle, you're like scamming somebody, or you're doing the 3-card Monty, or like that's the kind of definition a lot of people have about hustle in their head. But that's not really what it's about. Hustle is just a moving fast, staying fast on your feet, working hard, says John. Yeah, that's right. What does hustle mean to you? Type it into the chat. What does that mean to you? And, you know, the entrepreneur hustle is, first of all, one of the most fun rides you can be on. It's a perfect topic for Finish Strong Friday because this is all about getting it done. Olga says, never give up. You know, I am so all about the never give up, Olga. I even have a song I wrote a long time ago called Never Give Up. Being persistent, says Mary. Yeah, all these things are true. So it's important to get your hustle on if you're going to be successful in business. We do these calls on Friday. We focus primarily on mindset. And the reason we focus on mindset is because, quite frankly, 90% of what's going on, success or failure, is happening right here, right between the ears, right? So, the stories that you're telling yourself, the words that you're using, what you're creating around what it is that you want to accomplish in your life, this is all mostly going on in your head. And you have a choice as to what messages that you want to deliver for yourself. We've all been sort of programmed with, different levels of messages. We may have grown up with the wrong messages about money or about business or about entrepreneurship, or, how risky all these things are. And, especially money. Money's a big topic. We circle back around to it every so often on these calls simply because, it's such a loaded topic. We're not going to talk about it so much specifically today, but mindset is all about the messages that are going on in your head, and being in the proper mindset is the thing that's going to separate you from people who aren't willing to be successful or do what it takes to be successful. Being in a successful mindset is going to be the thing that keeps you going on the days when it's not fun, because look, actually being in that mindset is going to determine whether it's really fun or not, even on the days when it seems like it's not. That's maybe a better way to put that. Simply because, look, when sometimes you wake up and you just feel like you're on top of the world, right? You just feel like, nothing could get you down. Nothing could stop you. Guys, it's easy to be a rock star in those days. Easy to be a rock star in those days. What determines what you're really made of is what happens on the days when you get an unexpected financial turn, or somebody's health, all of a sudden you get, somebody in your family you find out. Example, I mean, my dad a year ago was diagnosed with cancer. That was a huge shocker for me. All right. He's overcome that. He's totally, the cancer is completely gone now. But at the time it was like, wow, this is my dad. I could have let that just draw me in and pull me down and suck me into the vortex, right? But instead, I shifted into, okay, what can we do to help? How can we do, be positive about this? Even in the worst case scenario, is there a positive outcome? Is there a positive outcome in everything negative? Tell me what you think in the chat, please. Is there a potential positive outcome to everything that you're perceiving as negative in your life? Yes. Okay. I'll just go with that. I agree. I mean, look, you can look at something as a challenge. You can look at something as a lesson. And I believe that everything happens for a reason. I also believe that half the time or more, we don't know what that reason is. We assume that we do, or we react as if we do. But the reality is we don't really know what the purpose is behind this or that. When I was first introduced to this business model, not this particular company, but I was in a different company before. That's where I met Orlando. You guys probably know Orlando and Matt. I actually mentored Orlando into this business model about 4 years ago. And then he spun it around and brought it back to me. Well, I was at a time in my life right then where I was successful based on the definition I told you earlier, 6 figures or better. I had a coaching business that was doing very well, but I was a business coach and I had 20 clients, which you might say, wow, that's awesome, right? Well, and it was awesome because I love the work. But if you understand anything about business coaching and strategy coaching, 20 clients means that I'm literally changing projects 4 times a day if I'm having 20 calls a week with people, right? Literally changing the way, there was no time left. I was making good money. I was making, definitely north of 6 figures, but I had no time, even though I really enjoyed the work. And so I put out an intention one day. I took a drive down to the coast. If anybody's been in Northern California and knows this coastline area, this is some of the most beautiful coastline you'll ever see. The rocks and the cliffs and the crashing waves. And you guys might have even seen pictures that I post up on Facebook or whatnot from time to time. It's amazing. I went down there, took a few deep breaths, had a little meditation, did a little intentional work. Said, I really love my work. I'd love to work in this environment to be able to help and mentor people, but I need better leverage. I want to make more money, but I'm kind of capped where I'm at. What's available to me was the intention that I put out there. So I'm driving home. And sorry, I got my music up a little loud, you guys. I'm just going to turn it down a little bit. Okay. So I'm driving back from the coast and my phone rings. And I don't know about you, but when I see numbers come up on my phone that I don't recognize, my typical response is send it to voicemail. If it's important, somebody's going to leave me a message. But for some reason in this moment, I just felt compelled to answer the phone. Well, I answered the phone and guess what I heard? I heard a recorded message. You too can be. It was actually a pretty compelling message, right? So I was like, okay, well, I could have responded this a couple different ways, right? I could have responded, well, it's probably just another one of those things, whatever that is to you. Or I could think back to what I had just done less than 30 minutes before, which was to put out an intention to the universe or a prayer to God or however you want to frame that and say, okay, when I put out an intention, I need to pay attention to what shows up. And so I answered the phone. I listened to the message. I pressed 1. I left my message. I got a call back from a gal who was working for a guy who ended up mentoring me. Long story shorter is that, 11 months later, I had made like $300,000 in this business in about a third of the time that I was spending doing my coaching. And I was mentoring a group of people and doing the same kind of work. I was coaching people through a business model that made it just really simple for them to earn an income if they did one thing, right? Hustle. If they get out there and hustle, right? Like you can know everything it takes to do a business. You can sit through all the trainings and feel like you have total mastery of how the technology works and how the process works and how the conversation should work if you ever picked up the phone to make a phone call. But if you don't put the hustle on, it makes no difference whatsoever. Right? So the difference between success and failure really comes down to hustle, comes down to action. Olga says, how do you get your motivation for hustling? All right, well, we'll talk about that. If I don't get to that specifically, Olga, hit me again before the end of the call. Because if you can't tell, I'm kind of on a stream of consciousness right now. I'm not really working on, like live without a net, not working off of a script. But yeah, there's a lot of ways to get motivated. Actually, you know what? Let's address it right now because that way, since it's a fresh question. When I was getting ready for this call, I did 2 things. I cranked up a music station For me, I mean, whatever that is for you, right? I chose my Shine Down station on Pandora. It's like, it's, you know, if you guys know my history, like I was a, you know, big hair rock and roller back in the day. Love all kinds of music, but this is like big music. And so I turned that on. I did like 3 minutes of plank, and then I like ran in place for a couple more minutes just to really get my blood pumping. I jumped up and down. I said positive things. I looked at my vision board, and I came on here. So that's one thing. Like, how do you get your motivation? Well, sometimes motivation, first of all, motivation's a tricky thing, right? If you're looking for your motivation outside of yourself, you're going to run into some challenges. Now you can have, and to me, this is sort of it's kind of there's this minor distinction, Olga, and that is, I look for inspiration as opposed to motivation. Because like, I can't motivate you. You know, I may be able to inspire you to do something on your own. I hope I can. I hope by the end of today, I've inspired you to do something bigger, better, more in your life. But I can't really motivate you. Like, I can't be there, you know, saying, hey, Olga, let's go. You know, I mean, as a coach, sure I could, you know, but I mean, I'm not there for you all the time to pull you up and do that, right? I'm here on Fridays. I'm here when you reach out to me on the phone, whatever, you know, I'm accessible. But motivation is really your job. But I do like to follow certain people that help me to stay motivated. I like inspirational stories. There's several podcasts that I follow, but there's one in particular. Actually, I was just listening to him this morning. His name is Lewis Howes, and it's called School of Greatness. I'll put it in the chat. He has a podcast, and also you can just look it up on YouTube because he simulcasts, or actually, I'm not sure what he does. I think he videotapes his podcast interviews. He does his interviews with his people actually in his studio for the podcast, and he does it on video, but I don't think he does it live on video. So anyway, whatever. You can look him up on YouTube. You can look him up on podcasts. Super cool guy. That's just one of many. I mentioned Gary Vaynerchuk. You know, it depends on kind of your own personality too, what you're going to be most motivated by. Like, some people might be a little over the top for you, and some, you know, you might need something a little bit more. Like for me, it can be very motivating just to sit in meditation, quiet. You know, Olga says, I love Lewis. Good, thanks. All right, so we're on the same page. So see, you know this stuff already. You don't need me to tell you how to do this. What did I say? I can't motivate you. I can only inspire you, hopefully. All right, so if I think of some others along the way, and if anybody else has any suggestions, by the way, look, this is not a one-way thing. This is not a lecture. All right, kids, I want you to take notes now. You know, you're not sitting in a class. Well, you kind of are, but, you know, it's not. I always like these things to be interactive. Because here's the way I look at this. Like, you know, my brand called Mastermind Mentor, there's a reason for that. The mastermind concept, you know, where two or more people are gathered in the same space, you know, there's a biblical component to it. But I coined the phrase from, I pulled the phrase from what Napoleon Hill coined in the book Think and Grow Rich, which is something that I've lived by since somebody handed me the book when I was a junior in high school. Thank God someone did that, because that really changed my whole life. But the mastermind concept, where there's a group of people like this in the same space, you'd be amazed. Like, the person, if you have a specific intention for a mastermind, like this is about, you know, the Finish Strong Friday concept, it's a success call, it's training, it's motivation. You ask someone a question in this group who might be, quote unquote, the least qualified to answer it, and they're going to come up with the best answer, because we're just like, we're tapped in, right? We're tuned in, tapped in, turned on. There's a bigger energy happening here besides just me projecting to you, because we're all here, and we're all here live right now. And actually, I've seen ample evidence to indicate that when you record something like this, that same energy is inherent in the recording too. Again, I'm a musician, and I do a lot of work with sound. I do, you know, brain technology with sound, and Ann knows about that. So, you know, there's a lot of stuff involved here. But look, I get off on tangents, obviously. My point was, be interactive. If you have suggestions, what gets you motivated? You know, tell us, what do you do to get motivated? Like, I have to do some sort of a workout every day. Typically that's getting a strenuous hike in up on the hill. Again, you guys probably know that story. That's a way I can also put good things in my ears. I'm listening to an Audible book while I'm up there. It's a place I can get grounded. You know, so it serves multiple functions. So I would call that a form of motivation and inspiration. But like, what, you know, what do you guys do? Because it's, my way might not be your way. You know, I mean, I'm clearly a pretty high energy person, and for some people, that's like, oh my God, this guy's blowing my face off. And that's okay, because your way is just as good. Your way is the right way for you. So be you, go do you. Deborah says, walk 3 times around the tennis court with my pup. Nice. What kind of pup do you have? All right, I got to take a little sip here. All right, so I'm like way off script here, but that's okay. All right, don't be shy, guys. Type into the chat. Let us know. What do you do to stay motivated? All right, so let's talk a little bit about the best, like the qualities of a successful entrepreneur. Okay, there's a lot, but I'm going to just summarize a few that I think are really important. So I would say that most successful business people have certain traits in common. In fact, I mentioned Think and Grow Rich. I refer to it quite a bit. Think and Grow Rich was a book written by Napoleon Hill. If you're not familiar with it, he was commissioned to write this book by Andrew Carnegie, who was the big steel magnate back in the early 1900s, late 1800s even. And what he did is he commissioned Hill to do a study, basically, interview the most successful people in the world at the time and determine what were the common qualities that they had. Now, I'm not going from that list, but clearly there are certain common qualities to most successful people. And if you aren't doing most of these things and you are still successful, chances are it's a little bit of a fluke and it may not last. So let's just talk about the first one. So discipline. And you know what? All of these sort of sum up the concept of hustle. I'm going to get into hustle specifically here just because that's kind of my topic today. But, successful people are disciplined. So they're focused on making their business work, eliminating distractions, eliminating any hindrances, barriers. They have this sort of overarching strategy and outline to accomplish what they want to accomplish. So basically what that boils down to me, and I teach this on our 90-day game plans, is be here in 90 days. A successful entrepreneur has a game plan and then takes consistent action over time. So you take the steps every day that you need to achieve your goal, to achieve your objective. The second is confidence. An entrepreneur doesn't ask questions about whether they can succeed or whether they're worthy of success. They're confident with the knowledge that they'll make their business succeed. And they exude that confidence in everything that they do. So you might ask, well, how I don't feel confident, so how do I become confident? Well, here's the thing. Everybody comes in with a different level of skills into this business or into anything in life, actually. And what you may lack in any area that I talk about, you can make up for by hustle. Okay, you can make up for it by doing more. Like you may say, okay, well, this guy's got, a particular skill set. He's been doing this for a long time. He's got communication skills and blah, 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 or whatever message is going on in your head, right? Mindset. It's all just a chatter going on in your head. But you can do better than me by doing more than me. Like what you may lack in a certain skill set, you will make up for it by doing more, more volume, as long as you're doing the right things, of course. You're not going to, if you're doing the thing that's moving the opposite of your goal and you do more of that, you're just going to go farther away from your goal. But for example, if maybe I have, 3 out of 10 people that I talk to on the phone, I'm able to get to a webinar, for example, and you're only getting 1 out of 10. Well, what does that really mean? Well, that means that you have to make 30 calls for my 10. It just means that you have to work a little harder. And here's the cool thing about that, is that when you work harder, you get better. And then suddenly you're going to find you're getting 2 out of every 10. And then you're getting 3 out of every 10. And then pretty soon you're doing so much work that like all the things that caused your confidence to slip away before, those things are now your assets and you're doing better than me. You can do more in volume than I can do in skill set. The third quality, entrepreneurs are open-minded. So you see the possibilities in every situation. I talked about this earlier. Everything happens for a reason, right? So you may look at something as a deterrent, or you may look at it as a challenge or an obstacle, but it really is just a frame of reference. That may be just the thing that you need, as long as you look at it the right way, to learn how you're going to overcome similar things in the future. Like, we need these challenges to come. If everything was easy, well, first of all, everybody would be doing it. And if everything was easy, you would never be able to learn anything from any of the things that we do. So, it gives you an opportunity when you run into a challenge to open your mind to the possibilities. What are the opportunities within that challenge? How can you shift your workflow or your people skills or, any number of other components to make that work better the next time? Just continue to focus on your goals, continue to move yourself forward. Every entrepreneur is a self-starter. Okay, so I want to hit on this topic from the perspective of everyone that comes into this business comes into it with the idea of making money, obviously. And also, everybody has sort of a different life that they start with. A lot of people that start working with us, they get motivated by what we do because they see the potential for time freedom, or they see the potential for firing their boss, or some of the things that I've already talked about, right? So, but you're probably doing that around a job. I mean, maybe you're retired and you're doing this as a, something to keep you busy and make extra money in your retirement. I don't know your specific situation, and I'm sure we all have variations on some of these categories. But a lot of people are working at their day job and they only have X amount of hours a week to really put into a business like we have here. So it's important that you become self-motivated. And the other thing too is that, this isn't a job. And I'm saying this in many ways as I can. I said this directly to Olga before. I'm not going to be there, whispering in your ear, tapping on your shoulder, making sure you're getting your work done, making sure you're making your calls, or, I'm not here, or nor is anyone else in this business here to dictate some quota to you. It's up to you. It's up to you and what? Right? Hustle, right? You and the hustle. So, if you are working at a job, apply that same discipline that you're forced to apply in your job to your business, and you're going to see yourself not only develop the skills of a self-starter, but you're going to see a lot more consistent effort over time. Most entrepreneurs, I'd say all entrepreneurs, are competitive. Obviously, different personality type. We've talked about personality types a lot lately. We're going to hopefully talk more about that soon. I've got some things working with the company here, but competitive. A lot of businesses are formed because an entrepreneur or a group of entrepreneurs get together and say, I think I can build a better mousetrap. Hey, guess what? We're sitting in one of them right now, right? I don't know if you guys know the whole history here, but, and I told you, I met Matt in Orlando. I met Orlando first, and then Orlando met Matt later on, but I mentored Orlando into this business model, but a completely different company. Well, he then went on to another completely different company where he met Jerry. And then they all went on to another completely different company. And at the end of the day, they all went, you know what? This could be so much better. What if we just made it better and started our own thing? That's why this business actually exists. And I guess, you may know that story, you may not. But they said, well, we're applying all these systems to this thing, but if we just did our own thing and we had control over the process and we were able to bring better products and better tools and create a stronger community and a better support system, and, all sounding familiar, like all the things that you experience here all the time, that's what we have here. That is true entrepreneurship at work. Build a better mousetrap. This is a better mousetrap than any other version of this business model that's ever existed. And I can tell you, I've been involved with several of them, and I've observed several others. This business model didn't just jump up 2 years ago when 8-Figure Dream Lifestyle started. This has been around for about 15 years in some iteration or another. But this is the best of the best of the best that's out there right now. I mean, just on the product level alone, just absolutely the best. I mean, I don't even think that's a matter of opinion, to be honest with you. But if it is a matter of opinion, my opinion's right. All right, so let's move on. I'm just messing. All right. Where are we? All right, so we were talking about, my screen's freezing. We were talking about competition. So some people are kind of averse to competition, and I think you should embrace competition. Not in the sense that you're trying to win, against me or against Alex or whoever, because I'm not talking about that kind of competition, but healthy competition where we push each other, where we coach each other, where we mentor each other, where we raise each other up. That's the kind of competition that I'm talking about. It's like a community competition. Everybody wins when anybody wins. Next thing on the list is creativity. And creativity is really just the ability to be able to make connections between seemingly easy for me to say, seemingly unrelated events or situations. So again, entrepreneurs come up with solutions to problems that they recognize. Again, case in point, there were certain problems with previous iterations of this business model. The founders got together and said, we can make it better. They did, and here we are. So creativity on any level, entrepreneurs have a tendency to really think outside the box. What else is possible besides what exists right now? My story I told you earlier, when I put out the intention, it wasn't that I didn't dislike what I was doing. I just saw that there was a cap to it. And ironically, some of the things that I was teaching the other entrepreneurs to do about leveraging and scaling their business, I wasn't applying, nor had I figured out a way to apply to my own business. So I put some intention out there, put a little creativity into the process, and things started to show up. Next is determination. This is all boiling down to, like I said, we're coming to the sort of pointed laser focus on hustle, but determination, not thwarted by defeats. You look at defeat as an opportunity for success. You're determined to make all of your endeavors succeed. And so you're going to try to do that over and over and over until it works. Actually, the word try probably should be taken out of the sentence. I personally don't believe in try. In most indigenous cultures, languages, there isn't even a word for try. My favorite perspective on try is Yoda. Do or don't do. There is no try. So, entrepreneurs really just don't believe that something can't be done. And it really is just a matter of, again, consistent activity over time to make it happen. Strong people skills. So this is definitely something you can develop if you feel like you don't have that as a natural part of your world. But an entrepreneur typically has strong communication skills. I always talk about in practical strategic trainings how much of a people business this really is, or actually really how much of a people business everything really is. I mean, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter if something is on a transaction on the internet or how it's transacted. I mean, there are human beings involved. Somebody's got to make the sale. Somebody's got to make the buy. It's all a people business. And so then really doesn't it all boil down to relationships? So the more you can enhance your relationships and build relationships, the stronger your people skills become, the more successful you'll be as an entrepreneur. I had a thought I wanted to run with there, and I just totally went out of my mind. So let's continue to work. Number 9, strong work ethic. So again, the hustle, work ethic. So I'll go back to the job mentality. All right, when somebody moves from a job to entrepreneurship, there's a tendency to not immediately be in the mindset of, okay, I'm going to work, because there's nobody there punching the clock, right? For you to punch the clock for, right? There's nobody looking over your shoulder saying, you've got to do this, got to do that. There's nobody saying, here's your list of tasks for the day, except you. So it's going to be up to you to maintain that work ethic. And honestly, everybody's going to have off days. We talked about it from the very beginning. Everyone is going to have off days. So as long as you stay consistent over time in the terms of just doing things that are on that list of things that need to be done. Maybe you're not going to get them all done. Look, guys, I rarely get through my to-do list on any day. I make a pretty aggressive to-do list, but that's to raise the bar for myself. Like, I've tried to push myself harder and farther, but there's hardly any days that I get through the entire list. So do I look at that as a failure at the end of the day? No, I look at it as I put about 5 more things on there to see if I could actually hit it. Right? Raise the bar. And if you just put one thing on there, you go, all right, I made my 3 calls today. I'm done. No, I think you better change your 3 to 20 and see if you can hit 10. Or if you hit 10, or if you hit 20, put 40 on your list and see if you can hit 25 or 30. Always raise the bar for yourself, and don't look at falling short of that as a failure. Look at it as you're pushing, aim for the stars. You might at least land on the moon, right? I forget how that goes, but it's something like that. But yeah, strong work ethic is going to keep you doing that. And then, last but not least here is passion. This is the thing that really drives an entrepreneur, passion. You genuinely enjoy what you do. If you guys can't tell, I genuinely enjoy what I'm doing right now. Like this is like in my zone. I love to do this. I love to just sit here and go off on these tangents and connect with you guys and interact and hopefully, download some valuable information in the process. That's what I love to do. I've got so much content pouring out of me. I don't have enough avenues to pour it all into. It's like, okay, I'm just upgrading my YouTube and my Instagram and all this. I got to figure out a way to get all this stuff channeled somewhere. Right? But this is my passion. I love to help people. Just like I was talking about before, my coaching business, I love that part of it. But from a business model perspective, when you can see that there's a cap to where you can be, because you're trading, look, at the end of the day, we talk about trading hours for dollars. At the end of the day, I was trading hours for dollars. They were great hours, but I was trading hours for dollars. And I couldn't go much further. So have a passion for what you're doing. Sometimes people refer to this as your why. And like, why do you do this? Your first why is going to be about making money, or at least for most people, it's about making money or making more money or having an additional income or something that relates to money being the solution. But when the money starts rolling in, trust me on this, you guys, when the money starts rolling in, it's really easy to sit on your hands and get complacent if you don't have a bigger reason for doing this. So what is it that you really want to do? Do you have a particular charity or some kind of social effort that you want to put time into? Or, maybe it's just something really simple. I just want to lavish my grandchildren with a beautiful life that I wasn't able to give to my kids, or, whatever. I'm just making stuff up here. I don't know what anybody's circumstances are, but there's got to be something that drives you beyond money, because when the money starts to flow, it'll be easy to back off and not hustle anymore. Right? So make sure that, and if you hit that, by the way, you hit that thing, your big why, well, it's probably, it wasn't big enough, raise the bar. Remember, always raise the bar for everything that you do. So we're going to spin this a little bit. I want to hit up some quotes that I really like. I just want to share a few things with you that relate to this hustle concept. And this is a really good one because it relates to the job kind of thing. Just a second. Okay, got to lubricate there a little bit. This is from Stephen C. Hogan. I don't even honestly know who he is, but I pulled up this quote. It says, "You can't have $1 million dream with a minimum wage work ethic." Well, let that one sink in for a second. And this relates to what I was talking about before. You can out hustle me if you don't feel like you have the skill set that equals mine or anybody else's. When I was young, I observed that 9 out of 10 things I did were failures. So I did 10 times more work. That's George Bernard Shaw. If you have an idea of what you want to do in your future, you must go at it with almost monastic obsession, be it music, the ballet, or just a basic degree. You have to go at it single-mindedly and let nothing get in your way. That's Henry Rollins, who is a musician, actually. A musician and philosopher, and actually has a TV show and stuff now, too. Stephen King has a good one. Talent is cheaper than table salt. What separates the talented individual from the successful one is a lot of hard work. I actually want to share something with you guys really quickly on my screen. Yeah, let's see. I've just got to find the right screen. Give me 1 second. All right. So I have about 1 million windows open here. I've got to find the right one. All right. Now you guys may have seen, can you see this? Can you see my screen? The picture? There it is. Okay, yeah, now it says she sees it. Have you guys ever seen this before, the iceberg? The success iceberg? So this is one variation on it. And at the top it says what people see which is the beautiful iceberg floating on the sea. What they don't see is the 90% or 80% that's below that. Hard work, risk, late nights, struggles, failures, persistence, action, discipline, courage, doubts, changes, criticism, disappointments, adversity, rejections, and sacrifices. That's the hustle. From the outside looking in, looks pretty easy to the world. From the inside looking out, it's all about you. It's all about you and the hustle. So one more that I'll just end the quotes with this one. It's those at the top of the mountain didn't fall there. Think about that for a second. It's a climb, right? It's an effort. And why should it be easy? Guys, really, why should it be easy? We weren't put on this earth for things to be easy. Simple, maybe. But it doesn't have to, it's not about being easy. So, all right, let's talk about hustle. And it's going to be a little bit of kind of repeat or different spin on what I've already talked about. So there's 3 components to hustle, and they're all sort of related. Hustle, this is mindset, mindset around hustle. So innovation and resourcefulness. So remember that you don't have to carry the full load yourself. You've got a team around you, you've got mentors, you've got coaches, you've got VAs, you've got outsourcing, right? So become an expert in the thing that you are good at. Focus on what you're good at. If you need to raise your skill set in certain areas in order to be really good at your business, go ahead and do that. But things that are not, right in your wheelhouse, like if technology is a challenge for you, work with the VAs or bring somebody into your world who can handle that sort of thing. Focus on the things you're really good at. If you're really good at connecting with people, that's what you should be spending your time doing. It's not about making 500 contacts. It's about making 500 or even 200 smart contacts too. You want to connect with the right people. It's not just numbers. It's not a numbers game. We've talked about, really sales in general, not really being a numbers game. It's a connection game. It's a people game. It's process. So be innovative, be resourceful. Action. I talked about Gary Vaynerchuk. Put in the work. Gary Vaynerchuk wasn't always a successful businessman with this monster-sized online following. In the beginning of his career, he marketed a business called Wine Library. His whole thing was about wine. Now he's really, he still does the wine business, but he's all about social media connection and really building a personal brand and that sort of thing. So he talks about in his story how he went out door to door, handing out flyers just to get exposure with local businesses. And, these people didn't know who he was. But by the time he left, he had made an impression because he hustled, because he connected with those people. So putting in the work, I'm going to say hard work, but I don't mean hard in terms of difficult or strenuous necessarily. It's like putting in the time. You've heard me talk about time freedom, but I don't work 60 hours a week. A lot of entrepreneurs do. I don't. I won't, because I want to work smart. I want to let automation kick in. I want to let tools do a lot of the work. And that's how every business model I have works. Not that I'm never connected with people. I just wait to the right time to connect with the people. Don't spend 5 hours a day trying to call the same leads over and over and over again. Try to find the one. You want the ones to rise to the top who you should be talking to. And in order to do that, you need to just stay in front of them, provide good content. We have tons of that available. And then, of course, hustle, persistence, never quit. That's really, at the end of the day, that's like the definition of hustle. Just, I think Olga said it, never give up. Never, never, ever, ever give up. Be here in 90 days. And at the end of 90 days, start another 90-day cycle. Consistently perform your processes over time and do another 90 days after that. And just do it in segments like that. Just see if there's it didn't look, question. So this is Dave just saying, thanks Dave. Thanks for being here. Appreciate you. You may be gone already. You're just saying goodbye. So, all right. So I want to end this up with 5 rules for becoming a successful entrepreneur. So this all sort of boils down to a few things that I think are super important. And this is, again, this is totally my perspective. Like if you want to put 60 hours a week into your business, go for it. Maybe you need to do that in order to satisfy yourself and also in order to really give your business some momentum. You may need to do that. But number 1 for me is work smarter, not harder. So like I said, a lot of people envision an entrepreneur as somebody who puts in 68-hour work weeks, 18-hour days, does nothing but, eat, sleep, and breathe besides business. And, we tend to paint a picture in our minds of somebody who's so driven to success that their entire life revolves around working. And that's not necessarily the key. You've got to be persistent. You got to have the grit. You got to really dig in. But in my reality, taking a hike every day is part of my world. I usually don't even start any business until late morning. My time, I get up and I go through processes. I do miracle morning. I do meditation. I do all my different things in the morning, kind of get prepped for the day. And that's another thing too. Working smarter includes getting really clear about what it is that you need to be doing and then sticking with that plan. Because I think one of the reasons people feel like they're working hard is because they're spinning their wheels and they're running around like a chicken with their head cut off for half the day. So if you really get clear about what you need to be doing, then you're working smarter. But another way to work smarter is also, like I talked about, outsource the things that you're not good at. And you should get to a point in your business where you even outsource some of the things that you are good at so that you can focus on the things that you're just stellar at. Like the things that really drive your business, the things that really generate profits. You don't want to overwork yourself. It leads to fatigue, which leads to health problems. Obviously having all the money in the world doesn't matter if you don't have your health as well. Number two, and I kind of touched on this already, but it's hire the people to handle the tasks that you aren't good at. So, bring in people to run your machine for you. I think that we've just really, we've got the virtual assistants in place. We've got onboarding people to help with making sure that you get set up. I know some of the onboarding people go well above and beyond. I'll call out May soon on that, particularly because she's the one that we work with most closely. But she seems to always be available to everyone and just really goes above and beyond to help. And there's a lot of people in our community that are willing to help. What if you're not good at closing? Well, bring in a mentor. Bring in a mentor to help you close sales. This isn't a pitch for the mentor bonus program. This is like, look, you guys, 100% of nothing. I'm sorry, I'm going to do this the other way. 80% of something is better than 100% of nothing, right? So, I used to have a big ego about this when I was working with my first mentor in this area. And then we had a similar system where, it was like, okay, well, if I help you close a sale, there's going to be a 20% commission involved with that. As there should be, because this is our time we're taking away from doing our own sales where we could be getting 100%. In this case, this is another mentor from a different company, different business I was talking about. And I had a little bit of ego about that until I actually said, well, let's just give this a shot. I can't seem to close these last couple of deals. Let me just see if I can get him into a conversation. There is something about that third party that's going to help you to leverage closing the sales. It makes a difference. It's a different perspective. They see that the community is bigger. They see that there is someone there who knows more than you do and that they can tap into as well. There's a lot of different factors that come into play here besides being a good closer. There's something about the three-way call or the three-way, like the screen share or whatever, that is psychologically powerful, not just strategically powerful. Honestly, you could bring almost any third party into a conversation and it shifts the energy of that conversation. I could practically, bring my grandmother into a three-way call and it still gives their a stronger, broader sense of community. And that's what a lot of people are looking for here, is to know, because a lot of people come into our business or any business with a series of failures in their past and a lack of trust and sort of an underlying sense that, well, it's probably just going to be the same way here. And our goal and our job, honestly, is to shift that mindset, is to bring those people around to help them to understand that what we understand, which is there can be a different way. So bring other people into the process to help you get it done. I would personally, I bring other people into my conversations too. Could I close everybody that's closable? Probably. But should I? No. It's part of the system about what we do. But like I said, this three-way thing is very, very powerful. Olga, thank you for being here. I'm probably saying goodbye to everybody after they've left. I'm looking on another screen to see the chats popping up. So really good entrepreneurs do understand the importance of delegation now. This is a really hard lesson to learn sometimes, especially for people who are a little like OCD and control freakish like I am. It's hard to let go of things because, and my excuse used to be this. My excuse used to be, in the amount of time it's going to take me to explain this to somebody, I could already do it. which may be true, but if you're talking about a repetitive task, something that happens over and over and over and over, then it becomes an irrelevant statement. It may be true, but if you teach somebody well once, maybe if it takes twice or 3 times, maybe it's going to take you twice as long to teach that person as it would for you to do it yourself. But if that's a repetitive task that happens over and over and over, then you can let go of it. Here's the rule. I believe that everything sort of revolves around the Pareto principle to me. Like it's called the 80-20 rule is the more sort of common way of describing that. As soon as somebody is 80% as good as something at something as you are, delegate it. Like as soon as they've got it 80%, doesn't have to be 100%, doesn't have to be perfect. Done is better than perfect. Finished is better than perfect. Okay. So for those of you / us, me, perfectionists out there, that's a really good lesson. So, all right. So number 3 of the 5, the must follow rules, get more done and spend less. All right. So find ways that you can be more efficient. Don't just throw money at everything. If you've got money to throw at everything, that should not be your solution to everything. Don't just throw money at everything. Find the most effective way. Measure things. See what it's costing you to generate a lead. See what leads are working the best for you. These are just examples of specific applications in our business. Don't be afraid of failing is number 4, because you will. Let me reframe that. I don't believe in failure. I believe in lessons. So don't be afraid of getting hard lessons. Just remember, learn something from it. Learn what not to do the next time. Okay? And you have to be realistic. Not everybody's going to have the same level of success in this business. Not everybody's going to succeed in this business. Let's just get really down to brass tack reality. It never ceases to amaze me that there are people in this business that I see around me. I've got some of them have been on my own team that have come in even at the VIP level and never started. They never even started the business. I don't know about you, but I couldn't throw down $21,000 or $25,000 into a business and never get going and just leave it on the table. Now, I mean, granted, we have fantastic products. I have a lot of people that tell me there's every penny of value in everything that you just purchase in the VIP package, regardless of whether you make a sale. But if you come into the business with the intention of doing the business and then never get started, sorry, that's not on us. That's on you. So move forward fast, fail forward fast. And then the last thing is wake up with purpose daily and then be relentless. Hustle. Do the hustle. So honestly, the biggest contributor to success in anything, but particularly as an entrepreneur, it's just that you got up and you did the stuff. You just did what you needed to do. You woke up every day. You worked hard until you made it happen. You pushed through, even through the challenges. Steve Jobs once said, life can be much broader once you discover one simple fact, and that is that everything around you that you call life was made up by people that were no smarter than you. And you can change it, you can influence it, you can build your own things that other people can use. Once you learn that, you'll never be the same again. So, wow, look at the time. It's almost the top of the hour already. I'm going to come out of the share mode here for a second. Dick says you just can't lose with the stuff we use. 100% true. 100% true, Dick. All right, so I am out of share mode. We've got a few minutes left. If anybody has any questions or anything that would contribute to the conversation, feel free to unmute yourself. Dan, sure you're crazy busy, but would love to take time for coffee after the convention. I bet you're a great mentor. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. I have no idea what the event is going to look like, but I'm sure there will be time. And Dan, wasn't that you that said you're just in American Canyon? I mean, and by the way, crazy busy, like, did you not hear anything I just said? Am I crazy busy? Well, yeah, I mean, I'm busy, I'm active, but I have a very flexible schedule, so I'm happy to help. All right, anybody? Oh, come on. Are you speechless? No, come on. Somebody's got something to say. Somebody has something to contribute here. Anne.
Yes. Hey. All right, I'm on.
Deborah or Anne.
Thank you. You have such wonderful points, and I always like to write them down. A lot of times I'm learning how to juggle things, and I thought I had to like either pay attention to you or do some stuff. And I realize I can sort of do both as I'm getting more and more, as I'm learning things. So, just a big thank you. You all have your own ways of presenting the information, and it's all a wonderful experience. And I have been saying that to the people that I talk to.
I appreciate that, Deborah. And I've actually watched a couple of videos and things that you've been on lately. And actually, you were on the webinar the other night. And so I appreciate your background and story too. I didn't know. What did they call you? Dr. what?
Knockout.
Dr. Knockout. Yeah. I think you might have actually brought that up once when we were on one of these calls.
I'm Dr. Knockout all over the place. So that's my brand.
I love that. Mm-hmm. You got to figure out how to like turn that into something that you can really monetize more from the, the side of what we do now.
Yeah, I'm going to have to do that, definitely.
Yeah. And where are you located, Deborah?
I'm in Huntsville, Alabama. Yes.
Huntsville, Alabama. You don't sound like you're from Alabama.
No, I'm not originally. I have a Georgia peach mama, but then a northern daddy.
Gotcha.
First generation American. His parents were from Yugoslavia, and on and on and on. So
nice. Yeah. Cool. Well, thank you very much for the compliment and for your input. I appreciate it. And will we be seeing you in Denver?
Oh, absolutely. Yes.
Awesome. Look forward to meeting you in face-to-face then.
Carol, well, I should know her last name. I think it's Morgan, but no, I'm not 100% sure. Yeah.
Carol. Is this Carol? Joy?
There she is.
Oh, I'm breaking up, I'm afraid.
You are breaking up a little bit. Go ahead, Carol.
Yes, I just wanted to thank you for the photos and the videos on your walk the other day. I've been in parts of California, and for me it was like a wonderful respite to be able to be there and remember. In my mind, I could have my own memories, but I just thank you very much for sharing that. It was wonderful.
Oh, my pleasure. Oh, yeah, we were up in the high country last week up in Tahoe, and I opted, my sort of, whitish pink skin opted to stay out of the sun all day when everybody went to the Tahoe beach. So I went up to the high country and took a hike, and it was really nice to get up there actually. And of course around here, it's just beautiful anyway. So thank you for saying that. It's funny. All the education I have in my life has all been pretty much self-education, except one thing. I did go get a degree in photography, and now I use it to take pictures with my phone on hikes. So pretty ironic. Anne, did you want to contribute?
I just want to say thank you, Jeff, because you always consistently come to the table with so much, just jam-packed the hour, the Finish Strong Fridays, and I really appreciate that. And there's, any one of these, topics or rules it could lead into huge discussions, and there's a lot I could comment on. One particular, just that we saw that Tony Robbins TED Talk, and one of the things that struck me in that was resourcefulness, and he says there's no shortage of people complain about resources and not having the resources to be successful, but he says there's no shortage on resourcefulness, and that's really true, and that's really ownership of being resourceful yourself. And so it really is up to each individual. So that I loved. And I also wondered who said that talent is cheaper than table salt? Who was that?
Let me go back to it and I'll tell you. I think that was actually Stephen King. I think it was Stephen King.
Oh, was it?
Yeah. Let me go find it. Yeah.
That's really interesting because that one struck me as well, because I know that it just took me back to my days of art school. My teachers and professors in particular were really clear about that you can have an affinity towards something, but if you don't have the confidence to develop it and the persistence and all of the things that you listed there, it won't happen. Right. And that's really very true, and I can actually attest to that. But so it's really important to keep in mind. Yeah, just great session as always.
Thank you so much. Appreciate you being here. And you know what? Everything you said there, it's especially true for artistic people. Like, I have a music business background. I went to art school too. My degree in photography is from an art school, Colorado Institute of Art. And, it's like, okay, I know all the skill set about going out and being a commercial photographer. Well, that didn't mean that I could go out and immediately make $1 million doing that. Fortunately, I was able to make more money than I was working in restaurants, which supported my music habit, which got me to LA, which, whatever, everything happens for a reason. So, all right. Awesome.
I
Thank
got 2
you,
cents. Can I
George?
put 2 cents in?
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
You are like the easiest person to listen to because you're so smooth and everything just flows out of you. And it's like so easy to learn and listen. And I just want to hear more. Where some people's like, and it's like a challenge to just sit there and listen. Whereas you're just so smooth. And, you know, it's like the best teachers you ever had because they love what they do and they're really good at it. And they don't have to, you know, practice it because it just comes naturally, and that's what you are.
Joy, thank you so much for saying that. I appreciate it. Yeah, it sometimes I'm not even sure. Like I don't even know what I do. Sometimes I have to go back and listen to the recordings. Like, oh, what was that about again? Like I'm channeling something. Appreciate it. Oh, by the way, you guys, I wanted to share with you, especially for those of you who are on pretty regularly. I've been taking some of the better stuff that we've had on Finish Strong Fridays and actually adding it to sort of a personal brand in my YouTube channel. And so I have a YouTube playlist now that's like Finish Strong Friday series. So if you want to go back and like listen to, we did something on personality and something on bank and we did persistence. And I haven't taken everything that we've done, but I think there's 6 or 7. I'm going to definitely put this one up. But it's on my YouTube channel, which is youtube.mastermindmentor.com, which is the easiest way to get there. That way, and I think we're working on a way to get all the success calls into sort of a catalog someplace, but it's really challenging when you have 5 a week and, you know, you're trying to, and plus we have the, you know, for the Coaching for Life program, you know, we have the, what are they called? The huddle calls as well in the morning. So trying to organize that all into some way that everybody can just access it by subject or title is a massive undertaking. So I just thought, you know, a lot of this stuff, I think it's great for anybody, even if they're outside of our, you know, particular circle of business. I think it's just really good stuff. So youtube.mastermindmentor.com takes you right there. If you're there, appreciate you, you know, hitting the subscribe button. That helps me out too. Just the more juice I get out of YouTube, the better for the personal branding down the road too. So just want to let you guys know that that stuff is being compiled there. We're a little after noon. I need to break out here because I do have my accountability call with my writing partner coming up in 10 minutes, and I'd like to take a breath in between. So I appreciate everything. I appreciate everybody being here, all the wonderful comments. Thank you so much. Get out there and do your hustle. Finish Strong Friday, #FSF. And I will see you guys next week and have a fantastic weekend.
Thanks.
Take care. Bye for now.
Thanks, Jeff.
Bye.